Welcome back to the Ikko Ikki campaign Abridged, where last time we spent a while holding our ground, just trying to stop the various invasions and rebellions, so that I could build up a gigantic army which assembled on our front line to finally push against the Shogun. However, the Shogun whipped out all kinds of tricks. Assassins and Metsuke have wrought havoc upon our army. I don't know if there's anything we can do about this. So, we just need to go for it. We've still got like 5 stacks of troops, so we can absolutely push our way towards the capital. It's only 2 castles away, and now it's going to be 1 castle away because we easily take this next castle, killing a Shogunate stack in the process, once the animations eventually finish anyway. So yes, we'll set up here, and then we'll be ready to push into Kyoto. This doesn't defeat the Shogunate because in this campaign they have captured a lot of the lands around Kyoto. But it's just a symbolic thing. It's a really good place to hold. It has a full stack garrison usually, and it's a really valuable province. So we'll go for it and just hope that they stop assassinating everyone and bribing our troops. Well, they might. Here was a discovery while moving some troops around near Kyushu, some ships, sorry. I discovered an enemy troop carrying fleet coming over. This is the same fleet that I managed to repel last time. It's back at it again. Unfortunately, now it's too far away from where most of my naval strength is concentrated, so I won't be able to stop them. We'll just have to see what they do soon. Now for that all-important Shogunate turn. We've got a rebellion, that's par for the course. A geisha goes in and kills one of my new generals. Then a Metsuke goes up to one of my stacks and gets pretty much all of it with the bribe. So it's just still happening, ladies and gentlemen. We've only got a few turns until we've lost the campaign. We need to somehow power through this before we lose all of our troops. It's gone from 4 stacks on 1 to 3 stacks on 2. The enemy considered attacking me by the looks of things, but my hidden troops perhaps dissuaded them after they challenged for that battle, so nothing happens in the end. Although we do end up with a fight in this end turn sequence because the Suzuki come and attack Nagashima. Another classic 1-stack attack on Nagashima. They have no chance of success, just a chance to blow off some steam by blowing them up, and I certainly need to do that. The level of rage doesn't come across now because I'm so calmly looking back on it, but at the time I have no idea how I did not uninstall this game. This was absolutely outrageous. At least the explosions are nice. These guys, the Suzuki we're fighting, are the Ikko Ikki faction as well, our Ikko Ikki rivals. I don't know what their deal is, but they don't like me, and I don't like them. So we're going to blow some more of them up. And yes, once again, we're going to cut out the 10 minutes of me sitting here actually doing this, but suffice to say, we blew up a lot of them, and even if I wasn't doing this, we would have won the battle anyway. Let's see the result. Looks like the Mangonels got top table this time with about 300 kills, pretty respectable, and off goes another army. Now we've got a couple more battles coming up right now because it's Rebels time. First an easy Rebel battle that I can auto-resolve, then a less easy one in the castle next door in fact, where they've got a force that outnumbers our not very good garrison, but our garrison has a couple of warrior monk units in it that could just dominate the enemy's Eshigaru, so I wasn't too worried about this. Here they are making a nice long climb up the wall. Gonna take hundreds of casualties just from doing that across all those units, and they are sending their archers into melee as well. They're not gonna have a very good time once they reach the top and start fighting with our katana retainers. I didn't even bother committing all the warrior monks to the fight by the looks of things. Basically, a while later, they all managed to rout and didn't do very well. Our forces are still looking broadly fine. Continued the battle as it ended because I wanted to kill their general. Not really sure this is worth the time. Just means when they come back to fight you again, inevitably, they'll be a bit weaker and you're more likely to be able to auto-resolve them. And that's that. Now, at the start of the next turn, we've got news of a real rebellion, in that this time it wasn't a monk causing it. It's a Christian rebellion caused by lack of public order. And as I mentioned last time, the loss of our daimyo means we do have low public order everywhere. In most cases I was able to stabilize things using reduced or cancelled taxes, but in this case we can't because Christianity is here and we get an absolutely massive public order penalty from religious differences, even more so than we get with Buddhism. So we need to basically garrison that place with a stack at all times. Meanwhile, let's see what's going on the front line. Well, our 4 remaining stacks are going to fight the traitors, basically. All these troops blocking the road to Kyoto are just our troops, who are now fighting us, including one of our decent-ish commanders. In this battle, I'm going to auto-resolve. I originally thought I was going to do it because it's a massive battle, But when you have more than 2 armies, you really don't want to manually resolve, because of course in a manual resolve you can only use 2 armies, but I don't think auto-resolve takes that rule into account. So that result just there was probably better than what we would have got doing a manual resolve using only 2 armies effectively. Had the chance to hire a general, I almost didn't, thinking I don't want to have more disloyalty caused by it. But then I realised, wait a minute, like the only guy we have left who's got any experience hates us so much that it doesn't matter, we just need the new generals, so yes, I will take them on. And we advance a little bit more and take out the remnants of the traitor forces, so they're gone. And next turn I'll have the movement to push into Kyoto, so we'll just wait for that. Did a bit of actual naval action. I needed to clear out those ships so that I could bring these 2 units onto Owaji Island. So we've now got an official fleet featuring our Nanban ship as well, and they're going to hang out in this area and just choke point it off. The Satake naval invasion has landed over here in Kyushu. I did have some troops nearby, and you can see I've garrisoned them in the castle to the south. The problem is, the enemy can just go north and attack the really not defended castles nearby. Bit of a risk, but as it turns out they're feeling generous. They take everything south and attack the castle with all of our stuff in it. I've got a half stack of regular stuff and a half stack garrison, and that garrison has some good units in it, a bunch of Waco and some warrior monks. So this is going to be less of a problem than it could have been by the looks of things. This is a perfectly reasonable siege defense. Going to be another loud one, because we do have a bunch of the pirate units that throw grenades. So yes, the enemy can enjoy that a little bit. Also, that unit throwing just there did destroy the wall they were standing in. I didn't capture it in the replay, but after throwing these grenades, they died, so rip to them. Looks like some nearby blunderbuss troops are shooting into the smoke as well. Those enemy troops are just getting blown up in all sorts of different ways. A nice thing about this battle is that while half our stack are real units, I don't care about them because they're so far at the back, so everything's a sacrifice today. Overall then, the enemy don't really have a chance because they're going to climb in and fight an equal balance bar's worth of stuff, but our stuff can't rout, so we should win no matter what we do from this point. It was an annoyance trying to get the archers out of melee. You can order them to leave the walls, but they do get drawn back in unless you give the order early enough. Very annoying part of the game, but with a bit of micro, the archers eventually go away, and here those enemy Ashigaru can just be absolutely slaughtered fighting our samurai. That's all good stuff. There are going to be a bunch of bad fights going on, because like half our stack are just militia tier troops. When they climb in with anything better, we're going to lose tons of men. Looks like our blunderbusses are firing into the melees and killing everyone. Well, that's fine by me. And this wing of the castle is cleared up because some bow warrior monks popped a war cry, and that routed like 3 or 4 units at once, so yeah, basically we're fine there. But the enemy's attack on the other side of the castle was more intense, mainly because they were more fighting our militia over in this corner here. It's just an enormous grind. I was just throwing things into the corner with no strategy whatsoever really. We're just going to fight them in a really deadly melee. We're going to trade super inefficiently against things like Nodaichi Samurai, Town Guard and Onobushi. They will mow down our militia, but we've got loads of them and the enemy can rout. So we do win that fight with nothing special in terms of tactics, and that's the end of that. Thank you to the Satake for making the worst possible move there with their offensive choices. We've taken a bit of a beating, but we'll be fine. We can replenish. They can't. That invasion's going to be defeated. Now then, looks like it's time for another battle at Nagashima. It's the Tokugawa back at it again with half a stack of good and half a stack of trash. We've seen them fail with this before. Now they're going to fail again. They would say I'm going to cut out the 10 minutes of me shooting them this time. However, I'm not going to have enough footage to make episodes if I cut the videos this much. I've got so many battles in this and the last part, so much gameplay cut down, that I thought I'd have to show you something. So here's like 30 seconds of me just continuously shooting at the enemy. Sometimes you get lucky and hit a nice blob. Sometimes, actually annoyingly, you hit exactly the same point you hit before and don't get many kills because the enemy have already been forced away by the explosion. So it's good to change up the targeting ever so slightly. And yes, we pick up as many kills as we can. Once again, the Mangonels get top billing on the scoreboard at the very end with 300 and something kills, as it says up there. Good stuff, and as for the enemy army, well, they're pretty dead. They can just limp off somewhere and they probably won't be any trouble to us. Now they're what you've all been waiting for, the Ashikaga Shogunate turn. Their assassin walks off, that's kind of them, but the Metsuke does come in for some more antics. goes for a bribe on one of our stacks and he gets most of it once again, so there you go. We've now lost about half of our total invasion force to get to where we are, and the enemy have gained that half, so it's continuing to go badly. Now that an actual invasion's coming in, 2 stacks of Hatakeyama coming from the secret Hatakeyama bit of territory down at the south end of the peninsula have made their way up to attack Osaka Castle. It's a decent army they've got. However, we already saw Osaka defend against 2 stacks of Shogunate troops packed with veteran samurai and hero units, so while these armies are good, they're not that good, and we can just do the same strategy we did before and hopefully come out on top. We're going to have a nice peaceful experience to start with, because when I filmed the replay, for whatever reason it did not record the audio, so the men are just fighting in silence and it's all very nice. I strongly suspect that the Metsuke have been at it again. They've escaped the game and are now bribing in other programs so that they will betray me, meaning even my recording software stopped working during this session, apparently anyway. Well, all they're doing is mainly sending troops across the northern bridge as the enemy usually do on this map, and we're doing the usual defense against them. I'm going to switch to the live version so there's a bit of sound. And yes, we just hold them here, but I have planned already to fall back from this position, so we're not holding them very strongly. But also they're not attacking that strongly either, so we're doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, they have all kinds of other things across the map. Many of them are sneaking in from the south, but again they get stuck near towers, and the towers are cutting troops down super fast, so a bunch of free kills. They have enough troops coming through here though that some of them will make it to our defences, but I have a few units standing around that will be enough to stop them. Here they are coming past my original defensive position to now fight underneath the big wall. But unlike when we did this with the Ashikaga Shogunate, this time it's not like the start of the real battle, because by this point they're already half dead and routing. So our second line of defence, even though it's way stronger than the first, just is going to be wasted because the enemy mostly rout without attacking it, and that's all good. Looks like a few troops got through in the south and have just been killed. We've got 2 towers and a bunch of archers, and that cuts down even the couple of good units that were over here. And that's the end of that, really. You can see they've got 3 units outside the castle to the northwest on the minimap that are just standing next to the river. Those guys were trying to get to my cav on the other side of the river, but I guess they couldn't pathfind across it, so there's just a standoff going on up there. Their general has come to stand in front of one of my walls, so I sent the guns out to blast him in the face. That gets rid of that guy, and they did have other units still hanging around in the southern part of the castle. Some of them are just standing there and gradually dying, as they are wont to do. Others appear to be making attempts to get through the castle, just taking some very long routes to get to places, and also getting hit by towers, and ultimately they don't achieve all that much. As for my cav, I eventually used them to bait all the things that were still outside the castle to at least walk up and down in front of the walls, so the towers on the outer ring will gradually kill them and pick up some more kills. I could actually have just sat there and waited for the timer to run out to bag the win on this one, but it seems I wanted to save some real life time by ending the battle earlier. So we took them out in this fashion, giving us this really good result. We absolutely annihilated that massive army. Easy stuff. Now then, let's see what we can do about our latest round of traitors now blocking the road to Kyoto. Well, we still have our 3 armies, and we're only fighting 1 enemy army, so we can gang up on them with all this stuff here and force them out the way. They retreat into the fog of war, and we're going to go after them. I wanted to move to where that bridge was and try to see what was in Kyoto, but I couldn't quite do it, and after crossing the bridge we still couldn't see, so I just attacked. There is a full stack of stuff inside, and the army we just saw retreating is outside. The stuff outside our stuff is much better, really. But now we can use all 3 of our armies against the traitors again, since the stack inside is cancelled out by the siege. So we can get this set up right here. This time our traitor forces can't retreat because they already did, and now we'll kill them. Pretty good. We've killed 2 or 3 stacks of our own troops, tons of elite troops as well, and troops that have been with us since the very beginning of the campaign, just being mowed down as we go for the ending here. Not very nice at all. This is super unfun, but at least we're actually at Kyoto now, and the force inside is weak enough that our 3 stacks can just auto-resolve them to death and get in right now, so finally we're getting somewhere. Kyoto is taken, and with that, it's something like you have to wait a year in order to become the Shogun, and that's my end game objective. Got a chance to grab another general, and we will. That way we can replenish outside of the town as well. The town itself is great, it's got tons of high level buildings and it can recruit all of the max rank stuff, like the top tier of troops. So we can actually spit out a few hero units and veteran samurai units of our own to make an army worthy of defending Kyoto, meaning we should be able to get stuff coming out that's pretty good, if it doesn't constantly get bribed away, that is, and hopes are high for holding Kyoto. We'll see what the enemy throw at us. I had this genius plan to try and distract their Metsuke. I thought, I'll put this one guy just in front of him, and maybe he'll waste his turn bribing the one guy, since it's probably 100% bribe, nice and easy for them to do, and they won't bribe a full stack. Will that actually work? Well, we're going to find out. First though, we do have a battle with the Oda. They are back, and they are attacking Nagashima, so it's time for another one of these. I could uninstall the game just because this keeps happening. This is pretty annoying at this point, constantly winning the same battle. I do like blowing the enemies up, I guess, so maybe it's worth it. I'd rather do this over and over again than a different kind of battle anyway. So yes, we just keep firing, and here's double speed footage of me blowing up people in the classic corridor with our super fast reload speed. I guess we're doing something akin to volley fire, where each team reloads separately and then quickly puts their thing on the catapult. Rumour has it that the introduction of volley fire to gunpowder warfare was actually done by the Japanese at the Battle of Nagashino, which sounds like Nagashima. However, I believe that is a historical myth and is not at all true. Anyway, that's the end of that battle. It wasn't even that good of a battle for our mangonels, not getting top billing, and only 100 and something kills. Not that many, needed more enemies on the field, I guess. That's another Oda army down. They had trouble with Nagashima. Continues. Now then, let's see what the Ashikaga Shogunate have for us. Well, actually not the Ashikaga Shogunate, you'll see here. They're just called Ashikaga. They have been kicked out because now there's kind of no shogun, but it's about to be us if we survive for long enough. It freezes a bit, that means they've done an agent action against you. What they did, I believe, was the Metsuke attempting to bribe the town he's sitting next to and failing. So no bribe this turn, we've gotten away with it, which is good because we're like 3 or 4 turns of bribes away from being defeated on this front, so any turn where we don't lose a stack is good at this point. They tried to do some other stuff and it looks like it all failed across the board, so nothing too bad happened and we're looking good. Now it's time to think about some more targets. What I wanted to do is clear out the area north of Kyoto, because we can push our front line against the Hatakeyama over to the set of castles that's just in between the sea and the lake there. So we'll have a nice narrow front line and have a bit more territory if we can establish that. Also makes Kyoto easier to defend. For that purpose, I'm going to do some reorganization of the forces here. Finally taking stock of what's actually left alive after all the bribing. We do have at least one army that's packed out with a bunch of good and experienced units, so we've got one good stack left. They can go out along with a bunch of supporting trash and attack the castle to the northwest. This gives us access to our front line with the Hatakeyama from this direction. So we take these guys down, then we can link up with the stack that's up to the north and we'll have 3 armies over there. And of course, that 3rd army might come down and help out at Kyoto if everything else gets bribed away. In the meantime, we can defend Kyoto without many troops because of its gigantic garrison. So I can do this, I can move most stuff outside, and we still have a full stack inside. I will need to have stuff in there for public order reasons though. It's time to start recruiting some of these good units. And actually, this is easier than I thought. They recruit really fast. And they're really cheap with low upkeep compared to regular units. I'm not sure if this is even deliberate. Like for example here, the veteran Yari Samurai are actually cheaper but a lot better than Yari Ronin. And also, I'm not allowed to recruit samurai as the Ikko Ikki, but I can recruit these guys for some reason. So overall, taking this place could be nice. We're about to get a bunch of units that our enemies have access to that are very good apparently and better than I expected. So this will optimize our defensive army. Here's a little look at the tech tree, showing that I have most of the stuff at this point. I've got all the things I can really use. I tended to skip stuff that unlocks buildings or improved the economy by a few percent, just because I'd rather just take enemy stuff than build my own stuff. That's the vague logic. At this stage we're starting to get the economic things and some of the optional things I don't really need. And I'm telling you this, A, because a few people asked what techs I was getting. It's a bit late to explain it now, but I've got a bunch of them. And B, to pad for time because I cut so much out from the gameplay I captured for this part. Now to conclude this episode, let's have one more look at an Ashikaga turn. More agent action. Looks like this geisha, or it's a kunoichi it actually is moving up and assassinates one of my new commanders, so that's all good. We've got some monk action, but they don't appear to achieve anything, perhaps demoralization, which doesn't matter. And again, no bribe. That's 2 turns in a row with no successful bribe. We're on to something now. The last few loyal men we have encountered the Metsuke and are holding him up, so this is perfect. Now the Suzuki attack at Osaka Castle. They've got 2 stacks, mostly nothing particularly good, so similar to what we've seen before. We'll start off the next part with this battle once I go and do it, and maybe the sound will work this time. We'll see. As I said, I'm going to push on to conclude this campaign once we become Shogun, so that might be in the next part, or I'm sure it'll be done by the part after that, so watch out for it.